All right, boys and girls, thanks for sticking around with me here. Thursday evening, we're almost done. We get an exciting day on Friday morning, right around the corner. It's the end of the week, it's the end of the month. We got some desperation trades. We know we're going to get some action tomorrow. One thing you want to know about tomorrow morning is it's going to be an early in, early out type of day. So expect to see some fireworks early in the session, but then towards the end of the day tomorrow, things should start calming down pretty quickly. Volume will dry up, and you want to be careful trading in the afternoon tomorrow on Friday afternoon. So just a word of caution there tomorrow afternoon. All right, let's grab some charts. Let's first start with crude oil. Crude has been all over the place the past few weeks. We finally, though, had a very easy to trade environment today on crude. Made some pretty good cash in the trade room on crude today. But for the most part, though, looking at the VIP chart, you can see here we got higher highs, higher lows. We call this an expansion day. We have volume weighted towards the lower end of that, right, of that range. And so this, of course, tells us that towards the end of the session, we were looking at moving lower here in the long term. Now, looking at the two-day relationship, we get a sideways two-day relationship. We get a very wide range. Now, this wide range tells me that tomorrow it's likely to be a much more narrow range. So key component here is we saw on Wednesday a narrow range. On Thursday, a much wider range. Tomorrow on Friday, probably going to be a much more narrow range tomorrow. So be aware of that. If we open up tomorrow morning inside this range, okay, if we open up above 101.75 and below 102.94, if we open up inside this range, okay, even better, if we open up on top of that big round number at 102, all right, keep an eye. If we open up at 102 tomorrow morning, guys, we are going to be range bound most likely. I still have to read the tape for the first 15 minutes to see who's in control. But bottom line is, if we open up in the middle tomorrow around that big round number of 102, and if we don't see some good action at the opening bell, you know tomorrow is going to be a range-bound day. And you know what that means, right? That means we're going to buy the lows, we're going to sell the highs. Okay, pretty much what happened today. Went down to the low of yesterday, came right back up. Tried again, came right back up. So expect a range-bound day tomorrow if we see an opening print inside the range. The volume you can see here was towards the lows, I would say middle to lower portion. So this really should be, yeah, volume at the lows. The closing print though, right in the middle, right? Pretty cool how that works, right? Volume towards the low. But you can see, though, right at the end of the session today, it popped up there probably on a short covering rally. Whenever the volume doesn't follow the closing print, it tells us that people were getting out of positions at the end of the session. Think about that for a second. If the volume was now towards the low, but this last candlestick jumps up right the last half an hour, what do you think's happening? Well, think about it. We collapsed off those highs. People are taking profit. Now, why would people be taking profit? Because they want to get out of their positions, lock up some profit. So would it be safe to say that if crude traders took profit, they probably don't know tomorrow where it's going next? Would it be safe to say that if we see a short covering rally like that towards the end of the session, that really this is just one day at a time and this is not a long-term type of projection that we can use? Absolutely. Because if they're not holding this position overnight, well, what would you do? If you knew that crude was going to go lower tomorrow, would you take your profit now? No, you would hold on to that trade into tomorrow. But if you didn't have a lot of confidence as far as where crude was going tomorrow, you would take your profit. So it's very easy to see. And also, whenever we see these outside expansion days where you've got a higher high and a lower low, that just tells you this market is confused. Now, don't let me discourage you, though. Because when markets are confused, we get some great opportunities buying lows, selling highs, and make sure you avoid the middle. Okay, so tomorrow morning, I'm looking for buying opportunities with an open above 102.94, selling opportunities below 101.75, and I've got to be careful. I'm going to expect to see a range-bound market tomorrow, which will have us buy lows and sell highs if we open up inside that range. But again, I'm going to wait tomorrow morning 15 minutes after the opening bell to see what that opening bell analysis looks like tomorrow morning before I go placing my bets. But I'm expecting to see a range-bound day tomorrow, unless, of course, something happens here in that news overnight from Japan or in Europe tomorrow morning. Moving forward here. Now, I slowed this down here to a 55 anchor chart, and you can see here we're still trying to force our way through this 101.81 to 104.34. So if you're looking at your charts wondering why we're so sloppy right now, well, it's because we are at a major turning point in the big picture. Think about it. If we go through this 104, we're going to 107, 108. But if we fail, we're going down to 97.26. So this is that line in the sand right here between the buyers and sellers being right in control. We go higher, definitely going to go to 108. We go lower, we're going to collapse down to 97.26. And as you can see here, we are nothing but range bound to the last few days, right inside of that resistance sell zone here on the crude anchor. This is a 55 anchor, so a very slow time frame. Then we move it down to a 21 anchor. And you can see here's where we gave you guys that buy last night, right? This was the buy last night. Okay, it actually came late last night. So, of course, you got your buy off the low. Our target, of course, long term is up at 105. Really, the target would be here at this 103.45, and then another target at the top of the channel, and then a 105.40 target. Okay, so I'm here long from 101.28. Okay, stop will be below. We get another opportunity here to buy at the 101.96, and again, we're going to go higher here. I'm going to use this 103.45 as a target. I'm going to use the top of this channel. And depending on what gets hit first, it might be 105.40, right? Longer term trades there on crude. Now, this anchor chart, though, shows us a good picture here of a possible sideways consolidating price wedge. Members, what do we always think about when we see a price wedge like that? We always have a specific Fibonacci ratio. If you don't know which fib I'm looking for, make sure you ask me for help tomorrow in the trade room. Moving on now, here's that 13. And this was great because we gave you guys a buy on crude and a sell on crude last night. And you can see here we tagged both of them. So we get the buy down here around the 101. And then you can see here the sell at 102.93. So depending on which side of the coin you took, I opted for the long side of this because of the long-term bullish channel. But this, of course, now your profit target down bottom here, 101.46, right? If you're short here on crude. Big thing though right now on crude oil is you can see the wedge. So you got to be careful here. Don't trade the middle. Stay away from that middle. Don't fiddle with the middle. I'm going to buy the 101.46, or if I'm short from 103.17, I'll take my profit off at 101.46, and I'm going to buy that low again. The most important thing you want to be aware of when you see a market look like this is that we've got these levels down bottom. 101.02 and level up top 103.45. That's your range. Okay, that's your range. Now, when you're seeing consolidation like this, it's very typical for price to break out, and then when you see a fake out breakout, sell it. Right? Or break out, fake out breakout, buy it. Okay? So keep a close eye on this 101.02 and 103.45. Now, sometimes it'll just go and not look back and just keep on pushing. So if that happens, obviously we'll start looking for buying opportunities. But as we go higher here, we've got selling opportunities at 103.17, 102.93, selling opportunities at 103.45. And then again, if we go right through it, I'm looking for wave patterns above 103.45. To the downside here, I've got to buy this 101.46. I'm going to buy this 101.25. I'm going to buy this 101.02. And again, if we go through the 102, we're then looking for shorts down to this 130. Okay, so avoid the middles. Members, don't forget, you know this. You know those Fibonacci levels I'm looking for when it comes to a wedge. So be ready for tomorrow. That does it for crude. Let's move now to gold. Here's gold VIP chart. Now, I'm not sure if you recall this from yesterday, but do you remember how yesterday I said if we open up inside today's range, it's going to be sideways, it's going to be sloppy, and it's going to be pretty difficult to trade? Yeah, that's exactly what we got, didn't we? You can see today on gold, we opened up right smack in the middle of yesterday's trading range. Remember I told you guys yesterday, the prior week high is right there. We're all the way back to that prior week high. So we opened up inside the range. That immediately told us, fade the breakouts, right? Sell the highs, buy the lows. Look what happens. We go right to the range high. We turn around and collapse right back down in. It doesn't get much better than that, guys. That's how you use this newsletter to make money the following day. It's simple. Well, maybe it's not that simple, but I think it's pretty simple, and we teach it every single day in our live trade room. So if you don't think it's that simple, come in and join me as a student, right? I'll prove to you. This is not difficult stuff. So the first clue this morning was the opening bell right in the middle of the range. So we immediately looked at a range-bound day. We waited 3 candlesticks, 15 minutes, and we saw right in the middle here. So once we saw after the first 15 minutes, we then knew we had a range-bound day on our hands, and you were able to sell that high and bring it right back down in. A neutral 2-day relationship, a very narrow range. Now, guys, what usually happens when we have a narrow range? A narrow range usually results in a wide range tomorrow. So don't say I didn't warn you. If we open up above 36.4, I'm looking for buys up to that 1343.6. If we open up below 1329.8, you got it. Looking for sells down to 1322, 1319, 1318. Okay? So key component tomorrow is are we going to open up inside the range? If we open up inside the range, it could be another sideways day, which again, don't let me make you think you can't trade that, because you can easily trade these ranges. Just make sure you're aware of what type of strategy to execute. If it opens up inside the range and it slops around for the first 15 minutes, we have a range-bound market, which means you want to look for reversals at the highs and lows, not breakouts. If we open up outside the range, then again, I read the first 15 minutes, and then after 15 minutes, if we're still outside that range, now I know it's time to be a buyer above it or a seller below it. Okay, so don't forget, how this thing opens tomorrow is going to give us that final stamp of approval as far as what type of strategy we're going to execute, whether it's going to be a trend following strategy or a range bound strategy. Now, here's a very interesting chart on gold. Here's an 89 range, right? 89 anchor. And you'll see here that I've gone way out almost a year ago, and I've looked at the May 3rd, June 27th, August 29th, and I thought this was pretty interesting, December 31st. Pretty interesting. The last day of the year, we tried to go lower on gold, but couldn't get it done. As you can see here, we have a big, strong trend line here that puts us at resistance right below, or right above 1360. We can also see that just like crude oil, we've been battling this line in the sand, because you know if this thing holds, we're probably going to go back and retest that 1187 area that we were at earlier on in the year. We can also see if we go higher here, we're going to run right into that trend line, and most importantly, we got some more resistance overhead right around that big round number of 1400. So big psychological level up top there at 1400. So what I'm looking for right now is I'm looking to see where we are in the big picture here on gold. And it's no doubt, right, there's no wonder why we're seeing some sloppy ranges. It's the exact same scenario that we saw in crude, trying to bust through this major resistance zone. It doesn't look very big on this chart. Remember, this is a year of data. That's a big range there between 11 and 41. That's $30, right? $2, $10 is a huge move. 30 is a big, big range. So that explains why we're having some difficulty with the ranges. We're having some sloppy sideways ranges. I would also be looking for price to go higher, and then I'm looking to sell this area up here, right, a little bit later on in the first quarter. So gold running into some problems there at that resistance. Keep moving forward. Now, if you remember last night, remember what I said last night about the 21 anchor? Buy lows, sell highs. Remember this last night, guys? This is exactly what I said to do last night. Buy lows, sell highs. Buy lows, sell highs. Buy lows, sell highs. This is the exact same chart. I haven't changed a thing on this chart since 24 hours ago. And you can see, buy at the low, sell at the high. If you followed our guidance last night, you're making a killing this week. Okay, all it takes is a little bit of information and a plan. If you don't have a plan, you need to come register as a student so I can give you a plan so you can make money with this stuff. You're seeing with your own two eyes it's accurate. You're seeing with your own two eyes that it works. Now it's just a time to put your money into play too, and let's get you some profit with us. So as you can see, I'm going to keep doing this, right? We'll keep buying lows, selling highs, buying lows, selling highs until something changes. Because you can see here on the 13, we are getting very narrow here on gold, right? Getting very narrow. So just like we talked about on crude, remember, find those ranges. I've got the swing low here. I've got 1322.3. I've got 1336.5 and 1345.6. Pay attention, guys. Those are the key levels right now. Those are the most important levels. So bottom line is, if we go up, I'm looking for a sell as we come back down off that 36.5. If we go lower, I'm going to buy this 1325, right, like I recommended you did yesterday, but I'm also looking to buy this 1322.3. That's also a very important one. And then just like we said earlier on crude oil, if it blows right through it, that's fine. I'll then look for shorts below that 1322.3. Right? Up to the high side here now, again, I'm going to sell this 36.5. I'm going to sell this 40.6. I'll sell this 42.9. And I'll definitely sell this 45.6. So we've got levels here at 36.5, 40.6, 42.9, and 45.6. Those are all the levels I am drooling over here to be a seller at. Last but not least, don't forget, we got the prior week high right here. This may continue to be the Achilles heel for these buyers and sellers. We may continue to be slopped up inside of this. So be aware that prior week high of 32.4, and you can see it's pretty much right in the middle of this wedge. Remember, we do not want to trade the middle of these wedges. Buy the lows and sell the highs of these wedges. Moving forward here. So now that we've got our gold done, let's grab the Russell. Again, gold going sideways. Russell has continued to be the market to mess with here this week. We've had a great week on the Russell with our waves, our reversals, our breakouts, and you can see here today a lot of the same. We got an inside day. This has been pretty much typical operating procedure for the Russell. Spends a couple days inside the range, and then it finally gets the confidence to break out. So we had an inside sideways day, but boy, it was a huge range even inside the range yesterday. So it really blew me out of the water this morning. I was really impressed with how much actual volatility we got, how much range we got today, because again, look, it opened right in the middle. I was expecting to see, just like gold, if we opened in the middle out, I was expecting to see a range-bound market. Yeah, right, not the case. This was a typical range. I wouldn't call this one abnormally large, so no real clue out of the range. Here was a pretty big important clue. We got a closing print at the high, and the volume was also at the high. You can see most of the volume was at the high. Now, look back in time. Where was the volume yesterday? Yesterday, the volume was in the middle. We closed yesterday in the middle. This is dramatically bullish because now we have the volume at the high and the closing print at the high. Now, remember how we said on crude oil how it looked like people had taken profit? Remember this one? Remember this crude chart? Remember how we said it looked like the traders on crude oil had taken their profit, right? Because they weren't confident in where the long-term direction would be, right? If they took their profit, it shows them that spike up at the end of a down day. So there was profit taking on crude oil, basically what we call a short covering rally on crude. That tells me that deep down inside, nobody really knows where this price is going in the long run. Not even the smart money knows. Now look at the Russell. Isn't there a big difference? Look at the difference. Now we have the closing print at the high, the volume at the high. What does that tell me? That tells me that the volume at the high tells me that the buyers and sellers on Russell both agreed in higher prices. What's really bullish, though, is the fact that we closed at the high. There was no profit taking there. How do I know that? Because if there was profit taking, what would have happened? It would look like crude. It would have reacted the opposite direction. So the up day should continue into tomorrow. But you know how it goes. I got to wait tomorrow and see what the opening bell looks like. Above 87.6 tomorrow morning at 9:30, I'm looking to get long. Below 73.9, I'm looking to get short. Anywhere inside the range tomorrow, it will be a range-bound day, unless, of course, the first 15 minutes of the day are very bullish or bearish, and then we'll follow the trend from there. So there's your Russell VIP chart. Moving forward here, we'll go to the 34 anchor. And the 34 anchor on the Russell, again, this is a very slow time frame. And what I want you guys to see on this is that if you combine, obviously we get a big bullish channel here, higher highs, higher lows, right? By the way, who was paying attention today? What type of trade am I looking for with a bullish channel? Where's the best place to buy on a bullish channel? You got it, at the low. So right off the bat, we love to buy this 1101 to 1190 area, but it's a ways away from us right now. So what I want you to see here, though, is that if you analyze these points, you'll notice that there is some symmetry here. And that symmetry projects us now well above that big round number of 1200. Okay, so we are destined here to get to that 1200 here before too long. We got a little bit of resistance waiting for us here at the top of the channel. Okay, that'll be a magnet right on top of that 1200 big round number. So now what I always remind you guys is that when we have a bullish trend like this, I want to buy on a pullback. I want to buy at a discount. Where are we right now? We're at the highs. So I need to wait here, guys, for price to come back a little bit before I can jump into this trade long. Okay, on the Russell. So keep an eye on that. Don't buy those highs. Moving forward, let's take a look at some areas where we can get long. Here was that area last night on the Russell we talked about. 1173.3. Again, I'm not sure how much easier it can get than that for you guys. New higher high, pulls back. You saw the level last night. I didn't change it. It's still there. And of course, what a great opportunity to buy near the lows of that channel, right? Remember, we want to buy the lows of that channel. So a great trade there. I'm holding my position right now up to 1190. I don't know if I have the confidence yet to try to hold it all the way to 1200. It's the end of the month. I'm going to take a look at tomorrow afternoon and see where we are tomorrow. I might close my position tomorrow afternoon before the end of the week. We'll see what happens tomorrow. If it goes close to 1200 tomorrow, I'm definitely taking profit. Let's put it that way. Now, if you didn't take the trade at 1173.3, that's okay. You got another chance here. Buy this 79.6. Target's overhead now, right? So buy the 79.6, the 77.6, and then profit targets at 90.3, 95.6, and 1202.3. All right, we don't have a level at 1200. Okay, but definitely there's going to be a little bit of slop and chop there at 1200. So if you get to 1200 tomorrow, don't be greedy for 1202. Take your money and run. Right? Take your money and run. End of the week, end of the month, end of story. Right? Take your money and run. So you got a second chance here on the Russell to get long. And then we look at the 13 anchor, and we can see pretty much the same stuff. Right? Pretty much the same stuff. I've got two spots here right now that I can look to buy on the Russell. I'm going to buy this 1181 or the 76.9. Now the 76.9, that would really be the absolute ideal, because then you can see you're down around the lows of that channel. So I love to buy that 1176.9 if I can get into it. I'll look to buy the 81 and the 76.9. Again, 76.9 at the low of that channel. That's the ideal scenario. And then we got targets at 1190.4 and 1195.7. Okay, so pretty much the same stuff we saw on the 21 anchor, but a little bit more specific with a very short-term bullish channel. Remember, don't buy at those highs, guys. I know it's enticing right now to buy at those highs, but remember, we make our money when we sell, so we got to buy it at a discount. Alrighty? Now, don't forget, come out and see me tomorrow morning in the live trade room, 8 a.m. Eastern Time. We call trades live ahead of time with limit orders so everybody can follow along and trade right alongside me. I want to thank you all for another great week here in the office, a great week of nightly newsletters. Don't forget to send me your feedback. I do not do these on Fridays, so I'll see you back here on Monday afternoon, same time, same place. Don't forget to earn it, guys. Don't forget to learn it so you can earn with it. We'll see you on Monday. Adios, amigos. Bye-bye for now.